Hey ESA team, so welcome to my commentated showcase for Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. Before I start the run and I start the commentary, I would just like to quickly apologize if I stutter or stammer. This game's very fast-paced, so I'm going to be commentating as fast as I can. So if I mess up some words, I apologize. So this is Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights. This is a collectathon platformer. I'm playing on the Genki version, as you can tell by the X button to talk and enter. So what's the point of Scooby-Doo is you are collecting, pretty much, the plot of this game is just, a typical Scooby-Doo episode. There's a baddie, we gotta try and figure out who's behind all of this, catch the bad guy. In this particular plot, all of Scooby's friends are missing, so we have to go find them all. Ironically, we will only be finding one of them, which is Daphne, so we'll see that later on. The category I have chosen is any percent no GGS. The reason behind this is because the regular any percent category does have a trick called GGS. And when we actually get to that point in the game, I'll explain it, but it is very, very inconsistent. And it's not a very good trick, is all I'm going to say. So to make this more of a safe run and more marathon safe, I'm going to be including a very I would say long section of the game into this run, but quite a nice, safe part of the run. So, quickly to explain snacks, every level has a set amount of snacks, so you can collect them and use them to pay for snack gates. Snack gates are, if you've ever played Banjo-Kazooie, are like the note doors, where you collect a certain amount of them, then you pay them up, and they get taken out of your inventory. So a lot of this game is collecting these snacks to pay for these snack gates, and these snack gates take you to new parts of the world. This is a more of a linear game than I'd say more non-linear. Speedrunning definitely makes it more non-linear than anything, but a lot of this game is based around collecting these snacks in each level to pay for these snack gates. Every snack gate goes up in increments of 50. Except for the first one, which is 25 snacks. But every snack gate to each new level, as long as you go along the linear path, goes up in increments of 50. The last snack gate being 850. In this run, we pay, I believe, 5 snack gates, a 25 snack gate, a 50 snack gate, a 450 snack gate, and a 500 and 850 snack gate. So that's 5, actually, not 4. I apologize. So we are collecting a lot of snacks throughout this run. Just a quick brief history of this run. Any percent has changed a lot over the last 3 to 4 years. When I first picked up this game in early 2015, there were still a multitude of tricks that hadn't been found. We still did this current route. But just before I entered the community, a skip called Redbeard Skip, which we'll see later on, was literally just found. So I'll explain to that more when it gets to that point in the game. So while we're going through Shock and the Duck, I'd just like to quickly explain that this snack route that I use is a safe route. I'm going to be collecting a few backup snacks early on to pretty much fall back on later on. It actually works out in my favor because I end up over snacking later on in the run, as you'll see. And snacks are pretty much, in a regular any percent run, they are tight. The snack route is tight because you are not collecting as many as you are in a no GGS run. So routing, everyone has their own different snack route. This is my own personal route just for a marathon safe run. This is kind of the one I would use if I would get this into ESA, or even better, AGDQ. So yeah. So right here, this black slicky stuff, you can't actually run or jump on. So will be you just have to walk over on it. But there we just got the springs, which allows us to do a double jump, which allows me to bring onto this next thing. Well, actually, first things first, this jump right here, we actually bounce off this crab, which lets us reset our jump, so we can grab the snack box right here. Regular snacks, by the way, give you the up your snack total by 1, while our snack box is up to your total by 5. Right here you're going to see a warp gate menu. There it is. It was kind of a blink and you miss it thing. Warp gates take you to specific parts of the map, usually at the beginning of a level or at the end of a level. Only unless you activate them, of course. You can't just warp to a gate that hasn't been activated yet, but we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But yeah, warp gate menus are pretty quick. I do actually screw up one later because I kind of got confused from muscle memory problems from other categories, but yeah, they're pretty fast. They go pretty speedily. So I'm going to take this time during Hedge Maze to just quickly explain movement. So as you can see, I'm charging a lot, which is done by holding down the B button. Charging is the fastest form of movement in this game. I would be trying to use it as much as possible. While holding down the R button, which is the token run button of the game, you can reset the charge if you let go of B and then hold it back down, like again before the charge ends. Because if you hold down the charge button for too long, Scooby skids to a halt and you have to restart the animation. If you hold R and occasionally just let go of B and hold it again, it's not very specific timing, but you know, it resets the animation over and over again, which allows you to infinitely charge. In smaller little areas like this, I don't tend to charge, just in case I accidentally charge into the pit, but you know, it's not much of that problem. Right here is our first instance of jump cancelling, or jump resetting. This game is very well built, let's just say that. A lot of walls have collisions that allow Scooby to land on, and in this game, when you land on a collision, your jump resets. And that becomes very handy because it allows you to jump infinitely as long as you jump against the wall. So you'll be seeing a lot of tricks utilizing jump resetting. And right there, I used it to grab that get to that little extra section, which you're not allowed to get to that point until you have the plungers, which you don't get to about 3/4 into the game. So I used that to jump up there and grab those snacks. Those are my fullback snacks. These are the snacks I will be, you know, grabbing just to be sure that I'm going to hit my 850 total at the end of the run. So right here, this level actually has a specific trick. I won't get too much into it, I'm going to let it play out first, but pretty much Hedge Maze had a notorious skip called Hedge Skip, you know, it was supposed to skip the Hedge Maze. And we were looking for it for a very, very long time. We couldn't find it. There was a certain gate you could charge against, and it looked like you could clip through, but you couldn't actually. Instead, we found that if you charge against this gate, you can actually clip through and get into this behaving called Cave Hip, which now we're halfway into the game. We've just skipped 50% of the game, pretty much. And the reason that gate lets you clip through is if you go through it backwards, the gate opens forever, but if you try to go through it forwards, it says, oh, it's locked from the other side, you have to come through the other side. But thanks to that specific charge, you can clip into the gate and get to this point in the game. So now we're in Skull Cliff. Skull Cliff is a level, you know, just after, I'd say about 50% of the game. So this is the way you're supposed to go if you want to get to the second boss, which we'll see very soon. We're actually doing the level backwards. Now, the reason for this is because the start of the level is actually at the end of the Hedge Maze, which is the level we were at earlier. So we're going to go through this backwards, grab all the snacks as we go, and we'll end up at the end of the Hedge Maze to get our second power-up. So, this, you know, Scooby levels, because of their, you know, collectathon type, you know, style, the game is built around going forwards and backwards, just so you can go backwards through the level to collect, you know, snacks that you may have missed or anything. So it is very much possible to do this casually, you know. So this first level, I guess the fourth level, part 4, is very long, and if you die you end up back at the beginning. Deaths are very costly in this run. So we're grabbing a few snacks. Right there, I actually did a very small jump. Jumps actually let you go very far in this game. If you gimp your first jump and then take a while to, like that, by the way, that was an unintentional death. I accidentally gimped my first jump trying to get a long jump there. You can actually land you can make pretty far jumps that you wouldn't think you'd hit, and later on we actually get another power-up that lets us get even further with our distance. But going back to deaths, deaths are pretty costly in this game if you're in one of those long levels like was there. But if you die at like, one of these short levels, they don't take that long. And also you don't have to really worry about getting snacks if you die as well. So I'm going to take this little time in Skull Cliff to explain version differences, since we have the time to do it. Version differences, the GameCube version is actually a different build than the PS2 and Xbox versions. And also the Xbox version was only released in America, whereas the PS2 and GameCube versions were released in both America and Europe. I'm currently obviously playing the PAL GameCube version. The Xbox version has faster load times, however, these little fade-outs between levels are a lot longer. And also, when you die, they take a lot longer to load up the game, so intentional deaths later will, cost a bit more time. Right here I actually use a jump reset to skip having to hit a button, and also so it's possible to do this level backwards. So now we're on the first level, which is the last level, the Skull Cliff we actually do. There is actually a cutscene at the beginning of this level, but we skip it because we obviously enter through it backwards. So we actually get to skip that. If you were coming through this forge, say in a no levels early run or a previous any % run, as you can see it faded into that point, you would run off the edge to kill yourself and skip the cutscene. We'll be seeing a few instances of that later. So now we're at the end of Hedge Maze. So we've just skipped all of Hedge Maze, we've skipped the greenhouse, we've skipped a very long auto-scroller level just by going through a level backwards. So now we're going to grab the rest of these snacks. This is another case of a level that if you die in, it's going to be very costly because this level is very long. As you can see, I spawned all the way back down here. But at the same time, it's also very handy because death abuse and intentional deaths are actually pretty usable in this run. So you'll be seeing a case of that in a second here. I was actually on 1 health here, so I had to do a very few specific jumps to make sure I didn't get hit by these scarecrows. Getting hit knocks you back, so you gotta hope not to get hit, and also, deaths. So right here, I actually jump off the edge here and die, and it brings me back all the way down to the gate I started at earlier. So now I'm going to use this to use the warp gate to go all the way back to Shock of the Dock. Now here comes our first major skip. Hedge Maze skip was pretty major, but this is even more major. This is Galoshes skip, or Fishy Early, or Black Knight skip, depending on what you want to call it. By using a very specific double jump, we can jump over the invisible wall, stopping us from getting to Fishy. In order to do that casually, or in a regular playthrough, you would have to get the Galoshes invention. Now the Galoshes invention is something you receive for beating the Black Knight, which to fight the Black Knight you have to go through the entire of the manor levels, which is, by the way, my favourite part of the game, so we're skipping one of my favourite parts in the game. So we've just skipped an entire section, I'd say about 25% of the game, just by jumping over that wall. And that is actually, by the way, the only section that Galoshes are really required, if you're not going for 100%. That's where the Galoshes are only required for a regular playthrough if you weren't grabbing all the snacks. So now we're in Fishy. Fishy 1's pretty fast as treadmills. I actually skipped a lot of snacks on the treadmills thanks to the fallback snacks I grabbed earlier. It means I don't have to worry about grabbing them. Fishy 2 is a maze level. Now these are pretty common in a few levels, in a few sections, where the game pretty much throws out the linearity and you have to explore the level to find, maybe 3 or 4 keys. Fishy 2 has 4 keys. There's one right here, and then there's one on the floor, one in the sky, and there's one on that other section that I didn't pass by yet. These slippery floors, they give you ice physics, so you slip and slide around a lot. And the game stops you from running and charging. But by charging just after you jump on the floor, you can initiate a charge, so that pretty much just nullifies that. So you have to just jump and charge instead of doing the regular old charge resets. So when I was actually recording this, I was actually thinking my snack total was down by a few. This is a little muscle memory head thing getting to me is again because in the category no levels early, which is another category I run, you're about 300, 400 snacks above the total you have now. So I was kind of worrying myself, but mentalities are weird. So Fishy 3 has a very interesting skip. This isn't a glitch per se, more of a developer oversight. I don't know if this was actually intentional or not. I'm just gonna go with no. But if you look back there, there is this whole section level you can see, like, you know, spinning platforms and moving platforms all the way in the back there. You're supposed to go through all that. You're supposed to run along that, jump along that. You're supposed to do very specific platforming. If you ever played this game casually, it's a pretty tense part. But you just jump over this and skip all of that, and now we're at the end of the level. So, yeah, that was a pretty tense level. Interesting. But yeah, there's a. I don't understand that. You pretty much jump over an invisible wall, but I guess they didn't make it too high or high enough for you to be able to jump it from there, so whatever. That's a cool little jump, by the way. You can jump from the trampoline straight onto the door. Right here, I was gonna actually drop to grab the snacks at the bottom. There are snacks on the floor, there's a big trail of them. But this was the point where I realized that, you know, snacks, I'm way ahead of snacks by now, thanks to my fullback snacks I grabbed earlier. So I just went very fast through this level. One cool thing I like about Scooby runs, it's not really like a speedy thing, because I mean, you know, obviously you gotta die for it and you gotta lose time. But when you have all the snacks in the level and you're just going through it, these levels are pretty fast because you're just ignoring everything in the run to just go fast, pretty much. Like right here was actually a good showcase of like how fast you can go if you're not collecting snacks. Also, that was the 450 snack gate. Now we have 2 more snack gates to pay for. So this is Fear 1. We went to 2 and 3 earlier where we got the springs. But, you know, Fear 1 has quite a lot of snacks, so we'll be grabbing all of them. There's also a spot here where you need the galoshes, but you can just jump over it. Not a problem. I don't know why it's there, because it can't be a thing to stop you from getting to those levels without the galoshes, because you can't get here without the galoshes. So, it's weird. I forgot to mention earlier, we picked up the football helmet. This allows us to attack enemies now. It doesn't let us charge any faster or anything, it just allows us to attack enemies, and it's required for the speedrun to land the last hits on the final boss. So, yeah, we can't really skip it. So this is Coast for, no, Coast for the Sun Ghost, sorry, oh, it is Coast for Ghosts, I'm sorry, I thought it was Shock in the Dark. Coast for Ghosts 1, it's another long level, however, this is divided into 2 sections, and this first section is just regular old snack grabbing. And the second section has this little cutscene that plays out to show you, you know, pans over there and shows you how to do it. But we can skip that just by forcing a death, but since we charge into the hall before the cutscene can play. The side effects for this is now the HUD won't show until we've level switched. Until we enter a loading zone, we can't see our health bar or anything unless we hit pulls or, you know, die. So back here, we grab more snacks, and the third section level coming up is grabbing more keys. Every time I've done a run of Scooby-Doo, I've done this pier section here very differently. This one was another test of which snack should I grab first and which keys should I grab first. It's very interesting how it works out. So this next level, Coast 2, it has, if you listen closely, you can hear very loud banging, and that is the boxes. Boxes are, you know, normal crushing boxes that, you know, if you stand under it and it comes down, you die. These boxes are on a specific cycle. Now, this is one thing I like about Scooby-Doo as well, is that things aren't RNG, except for one specific part we'll be getting to later. Everything's based on cycles, and these boxes are on a cycle. Now, it is possible to get a one-cycle box where you can get through them without them falling down. Right there I could have gotten it, but I got hit by the witch, so I waited. On the Xbox version, the cycle's actually screwed up, so it's impossible to get one cycle on Xbox. And they also have a wonky collision that if you run up against them while they're going up, the game thinks you got crushed. So that's why I kind of hesitate before I go to them. Coast 3, if you look in the background there, there's a bunch of snacks on boats, and you're not allowed to get them until you have Super Smash, which is the next power-up we're going to be getting. However, another developer oversight is that they left the hitbox for the swing there open without the switch, without activating the switch. So we could just jump at this invisible hitbox and come over here without the Super Smash. There is another way to get through here to go forwards rather than backwards, and that's by damage boosting off a flying fish. But I decided to do that method because it's cool to see that little invisible hitbox, and also because it's more safe. You have less chance of a death by going that way. So now we're going to pay our 500 snack gate, which is the last snack gate we're going to be paying before the 850 snack gate later on. In a regular playthrough, you'd have about 3 or 4 more snack gates after this. The 550, which takes you to Creepy Crawlies, 650, which would take you to Green Ghost, and the 750, which would take you to Redbeard. We're skipping the 550 because there's a specific shortcut we can take to skip that. We're skipping the 750 because we do not fight Redbeard, and the 650 skip we'll get to pretty shortly from now. So this is going down which way? This is kind of the hub of the dock levels. This can take you 3 different directions to 3 different dock levels. It's got plentiful snacks in it, so I take the specific route to grab a couple snacks. This is one of the few levels that's actually visited in a cheat % run. There are in-game cheat codes that the developers added, and we have a category specifically just for, you know, entering the cheat codes and beating the game as fast as possible. But the cheat codes don't include snacks, so the cheat % run pretty much includes getting all the warp gates and all power-ups through cheats, and then grabbing 850 snacks as quickly as possible, and going down which way is one of the fastest levels to get snacks in. So this is Lighthouse Fright House. This is one of those one-run type levels where you hit the button and you have to chase that light that you can see going up. The timing for the light is actually not that strict. I thought it was strict when I was younger, but it's actually not that strict. So I hit the button as early as possible and then start going up these stairs. You still have to wait for the door to open, so hitting these enemies isn't that time-consuming. But this is the Super Smash, and the Super Smash is pretty much a triple jump. It allows you to ground pound, and it also lets you cover a little bit more distance when you do a double jump. Here is a good example of it. I screwed this trick up 2 or 3 times. This is Lighthouse Fright House Do Skip. I should probably explain it before I say I've screwed up. There's a whole level back there with a few bunch of snacks. You can skip all that just by ground pounding off this flying fish that goes by, and ground pounding onto this bridge that gives us a triple jump. So there's the 550 snack gate. That's actually not a required snack gate. Right here I get confused, because I think I'm doing no levels early and try to go to the next warp gate, but you're actually supposed to go back to Mystery Machine. In a regular any % run, this is where you would go to Creepy Crawlies 3 and go to Lab to beat the game. Since this is no GGS, we're going back to Hedge Maze, and we're going to go back and do the Skull Cliff skip again. So we have to backtrack through this level again, and this time we don't have to grab snacks, so you know, we don't have to worry about grabbing snacks. We can just go fast, you know. This is one of the more boring sections of the run, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the most fun just because you're just not collecting stacks, you're just running as fast as you can. Trying to go speedy, trying to optimize movement. Speaking of optimizing movement, I'd just like to give quick shoutouts to Farinator, who is currently the world record holder for this specific category, and a lot of categories in Scooby. I'm going to be giving shoutouts to a lot of the Scooby runners at the end of the run, but I just love to give shoutouts to him because he kind of destroyed this category. So yeah. If I didn't collect those snacks back there, I could grab them now, just to, if I was behind on snacks. I decided to grab them earlier on in the run just to showcase that they're there. So now we're going to be doing Skull Cliff Skip again. Thanks to the fact that we activated it earlier, we don't actually have to do the clip again. We can just go straight through the gate. And now this time we're actually going to do this level. We could have done it earlier and just skipped that entire section of the game. However, that ramp that leads up to the gate with all the locks on it is actually a slippery slope. And you can't walk up that until you have the plungers invention, which we still do not have. The plungers is actually in creepy crawlies, where you would go activate that snack gate I mentioned earlier that you don't have to grab. And you'd go in, grab the plungers, and then come back here. That's where it's required. However, thanks to Super Smash and these lovely sea monsters that are positioned here pretty correctly, we can actually skip having to get the plungers by doing a very specific jump. These two sea monsters, they both have different AI. One will follow you for the entire level, whereas one will just stop at a specific spot. This one will follow you right into this corner, and we can Super Smash off her to try and get to the gate. I actually missed the first time, but the second time I managed to hit the gate. So that skips getting the plungers, so that saves about 2 or 3 minutes. Right here, I noticed my snack total was perfect. So I decided to skip grabbing the rest of the snacks in this level, and what that means is I don't have to hit all the spikes down, and I can just jump here and skip the entire puzzle of the level. Now right here, Misbehaving 3 is a very interesting level. So first of all, this cutscene is really long, and there's no way to skip it because you lose control of Scooby the second the level loads. But if you've ever played this casually, or if you've ever seen this game casually, this might be a very noticeable level. And also right here, because I was playing blind, I accidentally jumped into the water. Usually I'm actually pretty good at playing that blind, but I kind of screwed up. But this level is a auto-scroller level. You're waiting for the water to rise so you can get to the top of the level. It's another one run levels, where if you die, you have to start all the way back at the beginning, so you cannot die at once. And water is insta-kill in this game. So if you've ever played this casually, this is pretty notorious because this was a very hard level, especially for myself. Just to show off, I actually didn't hold the run button at all this level, just because you don't actually have to, because you're still waiting for the boats to rise up. This would actually, if I had this in ESA, would be a good good part of the run to read donations, probably. One thing to note is that in a TAS, it is actually possible to jump up the entire wall of the level, so you don't have to sit through this auto-scroller part. But of course, since every jump reset takes, it's very inconsistent, it's a TAS-only trick. Currently there is a task being worked on by Farinator. He was working on a cheat percent one, which is done. It's on his YouTube channel if you would like to watch this. But he is working on any percent one. So yeah, this auto-scroller is almost done. At the top of this level there is another power-up, but I completely skipped it because it isn't actually required. It's a add-on to your Super Smash, which when you smash the ground near enemies, it causes them to be dazed. It's not required, so I just run past it. and that was misbehaving. So now we're in tight spot for a glade plot. Right here, I actually attempted to get a cutscene skip, but I kind of missed. Uh, I don't think it's actually possible, but I try for it anyways. And also, if you die in this level, which I accidentally did there because I was being greedy, the cycles for the keys change, and I'll let you get this one pretty early. These keys are on a very weird cycle. They go up and down together, so you can't grab them all at once, you have to wait. So, I'm going to explain this pretty early. The Grave Plot 2, there is a cutscene skip at the beginning. I hold upright and mash charge, and it's pretty consistent. Grave Plot 2, you have to go up this level and knock down 4 urns. The first urn activates a cutscene, and that's why I skip it. When you activate all 4 urns, another cutscene plays to show you that the door opens. Because I didn't hit the first urn, when I hit that urn, the second urn, it doesn't actually play the cutscene of it getting knocked down. So I go, and I almost fell off there, but luckily I managed to save myself thanks to jump resets. If I go around, hit the second, third, and fourth urns, which the fourth urn you actually have to knock down by swinging back and forth using this game's amazing swing physics. Just look at this beautiful swing physics. Beautiful. If you knock down the urn that plays the cutscene at the same time the door opens, which I screwed up again, but thanks to jump resets I got back up, it overlaps the cutscenes, so you don't have to sit through both cutscenes at once. So right there, if you look, I'm at 835. I'm super close to my 850 total, and I haven't even finished, I haven't even finished the rest of the game yet, so I was pretty perfect on snacks by this point. This level, by the way, has... Well, there's 2 things I'd like to explain about. The first one is, at the beginning, this cutscene actually delays itself sometimes. I'm not sure if it's RNG or what, but sometimes it delays itself, and you can actually get a cutscene skip, but again, it's RNG. The second rule is, this actually takes you to... there's a door that takes you to another level in the game, which you'll see pretty soon, which is used for a warpless run. So right there, you're probably wondering, wait, Gold, you just warped to an inactivated warp gate. And that's where I say, yes. Yes, I did. So, warp gates, obviously, like I said earlier, they don't allow you to go to unactivated warp gates. Because of a developer oversight, they forgot to deactivate that specific warp gate, which allows us to skip the 650 gate, which allows us to skip grinding more snacks. So, thanks, Heavy Iron, for not turning off that warp gate for us. It only works from that specific warp gate too. You have to do it from that specific one. But welcome to the biggest RNG part of this game. This is the only RNG thing in this game that I can really think of. But this is Green Ghost. This is the only boss you'll be seeing other than the final. There are 2 sets of RNG in this fight. Daphne moving around and opening the coffins, and Green Ghost himself. Green Ghost only has 1 attack, and that's the big green lightning bolt attack you just saw earlier. He moves between the 3 coffins randomly, and so does Daphne. Daphne will open them, you have to hit the switch, and if he flies over it when the switch has been activated, he will get hit. That time I got pretty decent RNG, I got 3 hits pretty quickly, but a lot of times fights will last for up to 5 minutes because of, those 2 not cooperating with each other. Before I left there, I could have left the level before the cutscene activated, but if I didn't activate the cutscene, I wouldn't have gotten the Umbrella Invention. So now that I've gotten the Umbrella Invention, I've beaten Green Ghost, which is the GG part of the GGS, Green Ghost skip. I can now go back to what any percent does and come into Creepy Crawly. So doing that little shortcut there actually skipped the 550 gate that we saw earlier. That's an intentional shortcut. I don't know why they added that gate there, but it's there. So now we're in a part of the game where you're supposed to come earlier, but we just skip past all that. In Creepy Crawly 2, these cauldrons have weird hitboxes. As you can see there, sometimes you get hit by them, but sometimes you don't. So I try to, watch myself with these jumps like that. This is another grab the keys exit level. Right here, this will be like the second time we actually get to see Shaggy in the run. If you do a casual playthrough, you see Shaggy quite a lot. He helps you out in a few levels. But in the run, we only see him twice. We actually used him once earlier at the beginning of the run, and right here to pick up this key. There is a way to grab this key without Shaggy, but I just did it this way to, you know, for marathon safe strats. So this is Redbeard skip, this is Redbeard 750 skip, and, you know, all sorts of names. So by doing 3 specific jump resets, you can actually get enough height to come up here, and this skips having to fight Redbeard and get the gum invention, also skips having to go to the basement and get the soap invention. So that skips quite a large chunk of the game as well. That was another wall of the game. So this is lab, this is the final area of the game. Right there, I actually showed off part of what GGS is. So what GGS is it's 3 very, very specific jumps. You may be thinking, well, you just said that with Redbeard skip. With Redbeard skip, we have the umbrella. And the umbrella is, you know, it helps you, like, land on specific jumps properly. GGS, you don't have it. So you have to do 3 specific jumps in a row. The third one you have to actually turn around in a row without stopping to pull this off. That is why it's very inconsistent. I can do the first 2 jumps pretty consistently, but the third jump, turning around is kind of hard. So this is why I do this category. Right here, I actually screw up this trick 3 to 4 times. This is a jump to the little platforms. In this entire level, you're supposed to go all the way around the level and hit a button to activate these little blue things I'm trying to jump on. However, I did screw up quite a few times. But yeah, there were 3 walls. The 3 bosses were the 3 walls of this game. You actually have to fight 4 bosses in a casual playthrough. You have to fight Black Knight, you have to fight Green Ghost, you have to fight Redbeard, and then you have to fight the Mastermind himself. Mastermind. Black Knight is skipped by doing Galosha skip, which we saw earlier. Green Ghost is skipped by doing Green Ghost skip, as I mentioned just not too long ago. And Redbeard is skipped by doing that jump to lab. These were the 3 walls of Scooby, and they were all skipped within the same year, which, in my opinion, is pretty amazing. This game has been broken quite a lot. Because of the fact that loads of things skip, we have created separate categories. And right there, I actually missed that 3rd jump, but thanks to visibility frames, I managed to save this. But there are other categories. There is an all bosses category, and also thanks to specific tricks, we can actually do a reverse boss order where we fight the final boss first and then go backwards. But yeah, there is a all bosses category. There is also a no levels early category, which is a category I like to run, which is pretty much an intentional route, and there's also a 100% category of getting all the snacks. Right here, this is Lido skip. I do screw up for a little bit. But this was found by community member Lito. He's a pretty great guy. I'll shout him out with the rest of the community at the end of the video. But he found this jump. This skips having to go through the front end of Lab 2, which has like a cutscene, and you gotta hit a button, you gotta do all this. You can skip all that just by jumping along this wall here. It's actually, you have to do some of it blind. So it's quite hard to pull off. That's why I screwed up a few times. But yeah, let's go back to the walls. There are, you know, other categories to show off Redbeard and Black Knight and all that. Black Knight, actually, by the way, is a very RNG boss. More RNG than Green Ghost, ironically, because he likes to just walk around, and you gotta hit these specific buttons to hit him, and he likes to walk around and just ignore the buttons, so he's very hard. Redbeard has a, ironically, we have a meme category called Redbeard Endurance, where you can beat him, but at the same time don't beat him. And we have an endurance mode where you gotta try and survive for as long as you can. A few times I do actually get the jump for it, but I actually kind of miss it. I spend another minute or so here. I need to get more consistent this trick. Yeah, right there before, like, you probably can't see it off the edge of the screen, but that's where the 850 snack gate is. That is our last paywall for the run. That is the reason why we collected all those snacks throughout the run. Um, at the moment, there is no way to skip it. We have no idea. I don't think it's even possible because the door is there, and I almost got this trick right here, but I screwed up and landed in the acid. The door is there, and the load zone is there, but it doesn't actually allow you to even clip into it until you've paid for it. So, unfortunately, that's a trick that will probably be impossible for the rest of the time, so collecting snacks is the aim of the game. I think this one right here is the successful attempt of getting this trick. Yeah, so I use the jump reset to get up onto here and then pay the snack gate. So as you can see, I was 50 snacks over the required, so my snack route was pretty okay for this. I didn't have to grab extra snacks, maybe not in fishy or anything. But this is Mastermind and There are still snacks in here, but that's just for the 100%. We don't have to collect them anymore, because we don't have to pay any more snack gates. If you were doing a no levels early or 100% run, or a cheap percent run, there is actually a way to clip through that door, you see down there with the green light above it. By using the soap invention, you can actually lead one of the toy bots over to him, over to the door, and use the soap to clip through the door. So that actually saves having to do all this this little malarkey here with Shaggy. And that'll be the last time we'll be using Shaggy. The whole 3 times we see him. So yeah, the door usually doesn't open there unless you do the whole Shaggy bit. That's why you do soap clip. So this next trick is just a small jump, but it was found by yours truly, so I have to point it out to fuel my ego more. But you just do a small umbrella jump and a triple smash to get to it. This next trick is a really interesting trick. So you'll be seeing I'm going to be running at this wall, and you saw I just clipped through there, and I'm going to be charging a little bit more to try and clip through, but to get into this boss fight normally, you have to go through the door and it activates the cutscene, and then the music plays, and it shows a little cutscene of everyone cheering you on and everything. You can skip all that by just clipping through the wall, and these buttons are active, so you can skip the entire first phase of the fight. Which does save roughly 10 to 15 seconds. One downside to that is you don't get to listen to the epic jazz music, which, if I'm actually ahead of estimate, and then if this got into ESA, I would play the cutscene just so we can listen to the epic jazz music. Epic jazz music for a final fight, only in Scooby-Doo. But yeah, that is the Mastermind. We don't actually get to see the Mastermind at all, other than this final part here. He's voiced by Tim Curry, if you're kind of curious. I love Tim Curry. You gotta love Rocky Horror Picture Show. And also, speaking of voice actors, everyone's voiced by their respective voice actors, and the groundskeeper is actually voiced by Don Knotts, the late Don Knotts. This was 2 or 3 years before his death, so we actually have a meme category called Don Knotts percent that you have to go talk to the groundskeeper in every specific spot that he's available. But here's another part of RNG. Where the Mastermind ends up on the floor here is RNG. He can end up really close to the buttons, or he can end up really far away, but this time he kind of ended halfway. The way to defeat him is by knocking into these electric zapper thingies, and that there is time. We end time on the final hit. I clocked in this marathon run at 43:44, which is roughly 7 or so minutes under estimate of what I entailed. The reason I made the estimate so high is because of this, the final cutscene. It's kind of a nice ending to a Scooby-Doo run where you kind of get to see the Scooby-Doo ending. I'm gonna cut off the recording before the actual big reveal, just to keep you all on your toes to find out who the. But yeah, thank you for watching this commentated run. Hopefully, I will be able to. I've convinced you all in the submission team to think about accepting this game. the reason I'm submitting this personally is because this game's very short. I really enjoy it. I think it's a very good marathon run. Um, I think I think licensed games like Scooby-Doo deserve a little bit more attention. SGDQ and AGDQ both had Ed, Edd and Any Misadventures and SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, respectively, which were both made by Heavy Iron, the guys that made these games. So, I think it'd be pretty great to see this game in a marathon for once. So, thank you for watching. Please consider my submission, and yeah, see you later.